So this one's gonna be really interesting because I'm Mark Wagner, Dental Bites. I'm joined by Haylie Sampath. We're on a family vacation. She's a marketer of a company, a cool sock company, and we're gonna get into that called
Dr.
Dr.
Johnny's.
Johnny's, right?
Yes.
It's just had to change. We're not going to get into why it's had to change, but it's a really interesting story about branding, about telling your story, and entrepreneurship. Um, Haylie, how long have you been at like Dr. Johnny's for?
We started Dr. Johnny's at the beginning of this year, so it's been probably like 6 months.
Okay,
Yep.
but you were doing some other.
We had a very similar
Hang on.
company.
Time out. So this is. I always goof up on this thing. There, the music's off.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get out?
No, it's fine. We talked about this. There's going to be kids running around.
Okay.
There's probably going to be dogs that are going to be barking. We got Sharon's cooking up steaks in the background. It is what it is. We've been wanting to have this conversation. We've been down at Cannon Beach for a week. Our two families love to come down here, and we wanted to do this. It's a cool opportunity.
We've been talking about doing this
Yeah.
for months and if not years.
Yeah.
Finally.
And I'm trying to test out my roadshow too, so this is good. So Dr. Johnny's, I want to so you've been at this, with family business outside of Dr. Johnny's. You've been at it for a while.
Yeah, we've
with
been doing
family.
it for over 12 years.
Right.
Same type of business, just now a different name.
Yeah. So what's that like? What's that like working close with your family like that?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
As long as we don't live together, we get along really well.
But you spend lots of time together.
We spend lots of time together. We talk about
Yeah.
business all the time. Our kids are part of the business. They know the ins and outs of the business. They know how to pack socks. They can pack a great box of socks and load them onto pallets and put them on a trailer.
Yeah.
They've lived and breathed this.
Yeah. So what's it like when it gets tough? Because entrepreneurship is tough. It's really tough developing things. There's a little bit more of a personal thing there dealing with family.
Yeah. It definitely gets tough, and we've hit some roadblocks, and like every company has, and I think it's a bit harder in some ways when it's with family because we all have to support our own families. We all have kids, and that just makes it a little bit more difficult. When we're all the highs are great, and when the lows, we all feel the lows. But then on the flip side, even when things are tough, you've got support, and everyone's there. We have the same interests, and we want to build a good brand and create products that people love that make people feel good.
So let's get into that compression socks. Obviously, I know the story, right? I know the story. It's kind of seen as a product for the older crowd.
Yeah.
So
you got to think of old granny socks.
Yeah. So
beige socks.
Let's get into why compression socks. You can maybe let's talk about what your dad does. Let's hear it.
So my dad's Dr. Segal. He has a large vein clinic out in Delta, British Columbia. He's been doing veins and had this huge practice for over 35 years. And we had a medical spa to begin with, and we sold compression socks from all the different brands, and they were boring, and they were ugly, and they looked, when you wore them, it looked like you had a problem, a medicinal problem, and people didn't like that. So they would come in, they loved the way they felt, but they hated the way they looked. So they would either, cover them up with other socks, or they would only wear them for, the specified days that we needed, the 2 days post-treatment. And, after talking to them so many times, that's always what they said. We love the way they feel, but we hate the way they look. And we searched for a long time to see if there was anything on the market that we could bring in and sell that people would like, that had some fashion and some color. And there was nothing at the time. So we pitched one of the big brands that's been around for 100 years and said, this is our idea. Our patients are looking for this. And they said, we're not interested.
So did you have any data to back making this is a good decision? Or you just knew?
I mean, it was years and years of selling other brands of compression socks to our patients and our friends' patients. And they told us the same thing, that their patients would do the same thing and had the same feedback. And our rep had the same feedback. And the company was just not interested. And we kind of left the meeting and all sat there going, oh, that didn't go as planned.
Yeah.
And then we were like, well, let's figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
And so with the medical knowledge behind it, and then us having to, learn a lot about compression socks and development and testing, we figured it out, and we were fortunate enough to find amazing suppliers. And
so how long from start to finish, from the idea to, we're making a go of it? Like, how long was that?
I would say that was probably about a year and a half.
Okay.
At least a year and a half.
Yeah.
We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
We had never, we weren't into this type of business. We'd never created packaging. We had never, we didn't even know how to create a UPC at that point. So there's so many different things that we had to learn along the way. But we met great people that have helped us over the years, and I think just, all having the same vision of wanting to create a product that people loved kind of just made it kind of come to fruition.
And are you guys like having a really in deep conversation there about, that?
We were, you know what? We were all sitting there looking at colors and looking at everything, and we were going, man, this is what life has become now.
Yeah, talking about socks.
All we talk about is socks. And, somehow our conversation can veer towards the kids, and somehow it comes back to socks.
Yeah. Oh, so, I get it.
You get it.
So, let's get into sort of the medical part of why, the beneficial part to wearing compression socks, the science behind it.
So they aid in circulation. So as you age, your vein walls become they become relaxed for many different reasons. A nice healthy vein is going to have really rigid vein walls. There's a valve that makes it so blood flow only flows in one direction. And once they become relaxed over time, then the vein walls, the valves don't close properly, and blood starts to flow in two different directions. And starts to backflow, and that's what causes you to get varicose and spider veins. You've seen those really ropey veins on people's legs. They can be quite painful, or the little tiny blue purple spidery veins. They're quite unsightly. Those, that's varicose veins, and that's what we're trying to prevent. People also get a lot of swelling, or they get really tired, achy legs by the end of the day, and that's the beginning of venous disease. Even before you start to see varicose or spider veins, that swelling, edema, and that just tired achiness is really the beginning of where venous disease is starting. And so what compression socks are doing is they're adding pressure to your legs. They're tightest around the ankle, and they loosen as they go up your leg. So kind of think of a tube of toothpaste. When you kind of squeeze it from the very bottom, adds the most pressure to squeeze the toothpaste out from the top of the tube. Yeah. Same thing what compression's doing. It's really just adding pressure to push that blood flow back up to your heart.
I know you do those happy leg days. Do you do a whole presentation? What healthy legs, what that means?
Yeah, exactly. So we go into hospitals, we go into banks, all different facilities, hotel staff, and we either do a big presentation for all the staff, or we do kind of speak to them individually depending on what their schedule is and how each place works a little bit different. But with the kind of idea behind, helping everyone so they have good leg health as they kind of either stand for long periods of time or they sit for long periods of time at their desk.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look for it here on the site. You had a page here where it showed all the various activities you could do with what you're saying to use the compression socks for.
So I think it was probably just directly on the compression sock page if you scroll down.
Anyways, I just had it. So it
could also be on a blog. So you can use
cases.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to get into. Use cases.
You can use them really for anything. So if you sit or stand for long periods of time at your job, if you're traveling, you hear people when they're flying that they always want to get up and move around and move their legs because blood starts to pool as you sit for long periods of time. That's when you're going to want to wear compression socks. If you're pregnant, you're going to want to wear them as well with increased blood flow. All the different hormonal changes, it becomes quite dangerous for pregnant women. They can develop DVTs. And
now there's all studies that back the
all the data.
the evidence behind all the,
Yeah.
like, this is an actual medical kind of treatment. And
Compression socks have been around since the Egyptian era.
oh,
It's
yeah.
quite interesting. They used to bind their legs.
Okay.
And essentially create a compression socks out of whatever fabric they had at the time or material they had at the time. So it's not a new product. What we've done is we brought fashion to an old product, so it doesn't look like your grandma's product. We also changed the idea of you only start wearing compression socks when you have a problem. Now we look at it going, okay, well, let's look at it for preventative reasons too. So it's like, let's talk about brushing your teeth. You brush your teeth every single day. You don't wait for a cavity and then start brushing your teeth. We brush them to prevent a cavity, and the same thing applies for compression.
Like I wear them to play hockey. They're great.
Totally. Yeah. Any type of athletics you're going to wear them. You'll notice that you won't get that, heavy, tired feeling, kind of tree trunk feeling when you're playing or if you're out for a run. It's going to help to push out that lactic acid buildup. So
like, how's that translating now? Now that you've been at this, you've got extensive data on your product and the great, like, who's going to be using it. Now, like, targeting that audience, who like on a percentage wise, when we speak about demographics, what are you finding out there? Who's now buying these socks?
I would say our demographics are like 40 plus. I would like to get a younger generation into when we're talking about the preventative measures, but generally it's like 40 plus, mostly women. Women are buying them for their husbands, as they do most items. Men don't typically shop for themselves.
What are you talking about?
I know your wife shops for you. That's why you always look so good. So that's usually, they're no longer just for your grandma. They're for literally anyone and everyone, and they're a great product. Once you wear them, you forget you have them on, and they just feel like a great hug to your leg, and you'll notice that your energy is just so much more throughout the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so what are you using to get in touch with your potential buyers? Like, what software are you using? Like, what's working really well right now in terms of so there's two segments of your business. You have B2B and the e-commerce. Which is the bigger which is the more profitable business?
It's kind of interesting. It really depends on the market. For a long time, B2B was our main area, and e-com was a smaller business, but it's kind of shifting since COVID, and the mom and pop stores have closed. So it's now becoming more kind of 50-50, I would say, and they're both becoming big industries for us. And people like to still go into stores. They're in CVS, so they're in a drugstore. They like to go in and shop and touch and feel the product before they buy it. But they also are happy to just shop online.
Okay, we were just interrupted. It was dinner time, so we.
Had to feed the family.
Got to feed the family. They're mostly okay. We've got wine now, so we're okay. A little bit now, Haylie. So we went through it. We hit all the right demographics. We've got the right product fits for all the different use cases. Now you're putting it out there. And how's that been? Like, how's the uptake? How's the conversions? What are you using?
Yeah, good question. It's interesting because with our original brand, it took us about 12 years to get traction. Build a brand, build a name. Now we've been doing this. Now we're starting our new company with the same product, new name, same people behind it, same everything everyone loved. And it's been an interesting change because we have original customers that are still wanting to buy, plus we're looking at getting new customers. So doing a lot of email marketing for people that had bought previously from us with our old brands. And now we're doing meta ads, we're advertising on Google through shopping and also search ads. We send direct mail to customers as well. So, things have changed. Like, it was old school direct mail. then it moved to mostly digital, and I feel like now things are going back to like, you know, postcards and
Like
things,
tangible things?
tangible things.
Really?
Going to, yeah, and our demographic, people
How are
like
you?
to feel that.
How are you measuring?
We measure through like coupon codes and really through Google Analytics, and just everyone has its own code, and
Okay, so you are like, is there a particular software that you're using to, like a hub that you're using to bring all that information and analyze that, what's working and what's not?
It's not a ton, to be quite honest. I'm fairly basic. I use a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of like I'll pull data from Google Analytics. I'll look at our Shopify site.
But you have a good firm grasp on your ROI from your marketing spend.
Yeah, it's definitely taken a lot. Like, this didn't come overnight. Yeah. We have gone the route of, you know, spend, not realizing how much things actually cost to acquire a customer. Yeah. And now we've kind of, you know.
To a science.
Yes.
What works the best? And things ebb and flow. So
they do. And things, you know, trickle down effect, right? So we can throw ads out on Meta. People, you know, never heard of us. They realize that, oh, this is a cool product. I didn't know I needed compression socks. I didn't know I needed diabetic subs. It's kind of a problem solution. Our products are a problem solution. You have sore feet, you have diabetes, you know, there's so many different things. And then, so they see ads on, you know, Meta, then they'll maybe search us up on Google, and then maybe they either go to our site to buy, or they go into stores and they'll see us in the store. Okay. So it really kind of, it is a little harder to quantify traffic when you are selling, you know, direct to consumer, and also
for sure.
direct or through B2B. But yeah, it's kind of, I think that they work really well together. Yeah. And
you and I, we've talked a lot about this over the last little while, and that, like, this is what spurred, I mean, I've asked you to like come and chat with me for a while now, but this was kind of like the base of the conversation when, you know, when we're talking about brand in particular. Now you guys are trying to reheat things up and get that awareness out there. You're seeing it, right?
Oh yeah. Brand is key. Like, people recognize the brand, they recognize the name. Yeah. Since we used our last name in our previous brand, that became just, you know, they think of compression socks, they think of Segals. Yeah. And especially since my dad is Dr. Segal and he's our medical advisor, you know, if we're ever questioning something, we'd rather, you know, run it by him before we proceed with a sale. And now we're switching to, his name's John Segal, so that's why we've called it Dr. Johnny's now.
And there's some sort of derogatory term in the UK.
There is, and it's kind of fun because we always call it like socks with benefits, right? It was always such a boring product, and now we want to make it sexy. We want to make them fun, and now it's like, you know, I'll let everyone Google what a Johnny is in the UK. Yeah. But it kind of goes in line with the funness of the brand, and it still has, you know, therapeutic benefits, but it's also really, really fun. So to go back to your question about brand is, you know, it's really, really important. People just remembering who it is, who's making it. Yeah. And with our name behind it too, because he is a doctor, a still practicing doctor, we want to make sure that everything, you know,
it's legit.
It's legit. Yeah. We stand up to our name and the branding and keeping everything education. Like, we focus a lot on education with our brand. It's not just pretty colors, and, you know, we are the face. We are the people behind it, and we make sure that people are getting what helps them. Yeah. Oh, so,
I love it. Love it. You know, it's going to be like 30 seconds before we get shut off here. We'll do this again. But thanks, Haylie. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having a glass of wine and doing this.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, we will. See ya for now.